Men's work with texture, talking dry texture. Now what's a little different is a lot of us think and approach working with curly hair wet and are a little intimidated of working with the fabric when it's dry. And the trick about working with dry fabric is understanding when to do it and when not to do it. I'm choosing to work with the fabric dry because I want to see the responsiveness to my technique as I'm working. I want to see how the texture reacts. I want to see the spring back. I want to see the shape form as I cut and work. I'm going to be demonstrating a men's cut, and I'm also going to be demonstrating a women's haircut on dry, curled, finished hair. Okay? So the idea first here is that I took the shape down utilizing not necessarily a vertical section to layer, but slightly diagonal. For any of us that saw me out on the floor, I did this really nice little pixie cut where I got a little shorter under here and a little longer up here to help create support. And really it's to help showcase head shape. So instead of layering it and flattening everything out, I built up just a little corner. So as you can see now in the background of the head, we've got a really, really nice head shape from our profile. It really builds up to nice and full here in the crown area so we don't get that flat spot, but we've really accentuated a leaner shape down in here. So a bit more modern, tailored look for the men's hairdressing. I haven't done my perimeters yet. That'll come in at the end. Now, working throughout the top, we first came through to connect my crown. After I put my shape in under here, I started taking little horizontal sections across the crown and pulling these little sections back so that I can connect them. I'm going to take it right about there. So I can keep them connected into these lengths I cut under here. This ensures, as I'm pulling it back, that it gets longer so that I keep more weight and length in this area so it stays fuller and doesn't get flat. Okay? And I just rounded my line following the guide I've already set in underneath. Now that I've done that for 2 sections worth of hair, all the way back, instead of taking that and cutting it in and making this even heavier in the crown, I'm going to stop. We're going to go vertical across the top now. Horizontal sections build weight. And we use them for a purpose in men's hair, especially. When you look at the growth patterns in men's hair cutting, what you'll notice is it does 2 things. And you'll see it. It either goes forward, and the hair kind of likes to lay flat, or the hair brushes back, and it kind of has a bend in it. And that right there is telling you how to section it, believe it or not. When the hair falls forward, work horizontally across the head shape. Take those lengths down shorter for suitability. If they want to stay longer, you might have to go ahead and work across the top. But if you really want to put in a nice layered shape that's going to work with the hairline, work with the hair pattern, horizontals. I'm keeping this shape longer. I kind of want it to be able to move back, so my sections are going to be on the vertical scale. My connection point is going to be here. My length in the crown. Taking my vertical section, I'm going to bring everything up. Now, I'm not going to sit there and pull really hard on this texture because of the curl. It's just going to stretch even more and it's going to encourage it to shrink even more. So we don't want to have that happen. So my fingers, I wish you could feel, there's just a very daft approach to the holding of the hair and the tension. I mean, you can almost see it. I'm letting it bend underneath my fingers again. I want it to live where it's going to naturally and not encourage extreme responsiveness. So I'm going to let it get a little longer towards the front. I think that'll be nice to keep some of this curl and fullness up there, just to deal with what we have in the frontal bone, right? So elevation, everything comes up. Nice and flat first throughout the round of the head. There's my guide and my fingers. Now instead of just coming across blunt, which will give us a little bit more of a rigid feel, I'm going to come in with the tips of my shears on a slight diagonal and create a nice little point cut, giving me just little variations on the ends, which are going to allow for that curl to have more freedom to do what it wants to do naturally. Okay, my next section is going to come up in the same manner, still square. And as I move to the front, my mind is starting to think about getting longer towards that frontal bone, increasing the length so I can leave a little bit more of a softness up here. Now that I'm moving up to the frontal bone, my finger angle is going to come back up just a bit. Okay, I'm resting my palm too on the head. I do that a lot with men's work and with women's work on the shorter lengths. It gives me a gauge of elevation control while I'm working. So I'm coming in, I'm tipping away, fingertips pointing slightly up. I'm using these shears too. Mike brought these in. He's selling them at the table. They're Japanese steel, which you don't find that a lot. A lot of them are Taiwan or China. These are all handmade Japanese, and normally these are like almost $400. He's doing them for like $199. I will say this. There's a big difference in the tools you select to use, especially when you're doing a lot of dry finishing work. You need strong steel because the texture is rougher, it's harder, so you need strong steel that's not going to lose its edge as you're working through that kind of texture.
That looks so cool. You know what I mean?
So I've left myself a big corner right here. We're going to address this piece right here. It's a big corner, very heavy weighted. We're going to address that at the very end of the haircut during the refinement. But for now, that's going to be my first section. Working this side, I'm going to stand on the opposite side, so that way I can work with the round of the head in my over direction. So I still want to keep a little bit of a corner right here at the parietal ridge. This is going to keep it looking masculine. Okay? Square shapes are a bit more masculine. And square shapes are so much easier to identify on shorter hair, just because we see corners. You know, when you think about a men's square layered haircut, you see a square. You see a corner. In women's hair cutting, you guys remember that Friends, Rachel, the Friends TV show back in the day? The Rachel haircut, that is actually a square layered haircut. It's a perfect example of square shapes used in female wearability. And it just has pronounced corners, it's even layered. If everything's stuck out like a light socket, it all comes straight out and out and out. But that's a perfect example. We don't see it like that a lot. We don't think about women's hair being square, but it can be. So over-directing everything straight up, keeping my flat line. You know, this elbow, I know it looks dramatic, but I try to do this all the time. See how, like, I'm squared. My body and my feet are together, my elbow is up, I'm creating a straight line so my fingers support the cutting line. It's just good form. Like Mike was talking about, that commitment to the discipline of it all. It's what makes a difference. Any questions so far, you guys, as we're going through here? You know, as I was sharing up on the stage, I'm back in the salon now. I've been focusing on education for like the last 12 years. That's been my focus. Here in salon, here and there dabble, but now I'm doing salon while teaching. So it's a different mindset. So I am building a clientele again from zero. I'm in a new area. I left Los Angeles to be near my daughter in Central California. And we can't charge $100 for haircuts in my area. We can't charge $125, $150. We can't charge $75. That's not our demographic. It's a farm community. I charge $45, and I'm one of the higher ones in town. Okay? And right now, I've been in there going on my 6th month. From my first month behind the chair, not having a clientele, I paid $300. On commission, mind you. I'm not a renter, and I don't want to be. I like being a commissioned hairdresser. I build a stronger relationship with my salon. I feel like I'm part of the growth of my business. After 6 months of performing, I've gotten a raise, so I receive more of my pay that I make. But here's the kick. My 6th, going on my 5th month, when I wrapped up my numbers, I was over $3,500 for the month. While my first month, only 4 months prior, was $300. My retail sales also increased from $20 up to $900, right? How did I do that? What's working for me? You guys want to know what's working for me? And how I'm able to build this process? Because we know what I'm doing here. So let's get down to some nitty-gritty. When I started getting back into the salon, I do have the opportunity to travel and talk to a lot of hairdressers. I get to find out what they're doing wrong. I get to find out what they're doing right. I get to take the systems and the strategies that I've heard and put them to the test. Then I get to go around and talk to people about what they should be doing. But how do I know unless I am doing? Well, I started to think about how I was going to be different. Now, the first thing I did inside of building my business was I wasn't busy. And I can't expect walk-ins. It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to get your clients. So, as I was waiting, one day in the salon, I decided, you know what, I'm going to offer a promotion. I'm going to offer a promotion I'm going to promote it throughout my social networks. I'm going to promote it at the local high schools and colleges. I'm going to go put up little flyers and signs. I'm not discounting my work. I'm not here to discount. I'm not giving you a 10%, 20%, 30% off, because you're always going to want it from me from that point on. If you've ever paid full price for a pair of jeans and then found the same designer pair for $35, $45, $50 less, are you ever going to want to pay the same amount again? Absolutely not. So I give my work away, but with purpose. First new haircut, free. First time client, never been to me, come get a haircut for free. What else do I have but time? I don't have anything else to do. But during that time, okay, so now I'm getting people to come in because they're getting a free haircut. Now, how do I build a relationship? How do I incorporate more of what I do behind the chair into this experience? We start talking about consultations. Consultations are how I started making that money work for me behind the chair. I didn't just sit there and say, what do you want with your hair today? I didn't just say, well, you know, oh, you're here for a haircut? Okay, how do you want me to cut your hair? I started talking to them more. So before we even talked about their haircuts, I'm asking them about their routine. How often do you shampoo? How often do you condition? Well, why do you do it like that? Okay, well, what are you using? Okay, well, why do you use that? Well, talk to me about your style routine. How do you usually style it? Well, what tools do you use? Styling tools, brushes, irons, okay? How about products? What products do you use? Why? Well, how does that work for you? Yeah. And the more they started talking to me, the more opportunity I found out that there was a lot of room in there for recommendation, because they were unhappy with most of the things they were doing and using. As usually people looking for a new hairdresser are unhappy with what they currently have. So that's why they're looking for you. So once I started discovering what wasn't working for them, I didn't have to sell them anything. I introduced them to ideas of things that could work for them based off of what they told me, just like a doctor prescribes you medication for your ailment. So immediately I started to see my retail go up, because during the consultation I'm showing them an iron, a brush, and a product before I've even talked about their haircut. And I'm not selling them, I'm not forcing it down their throat, I'm sharing with them, well, did you know that we offer things like this? This could help you by doing this. I put it in their hand. Here, bring your hands up, let me show you how to put this in. They started buying from me more and more. Okay, so that worked. But then I started to discover through consultations, looking at their hair texture, their scalps, looking at the condition of their hair, looking at their color, finding opportunity. Have you ever considered doing a glaze over your hair? I noticed there's a little bit of dullness. You said you wash every day. So the conversation started leading me to recommendations. Treatments for their scalps, for the psoriasis, for their eczema. And I was trying to sell them something. It was based off of the challenges they were telling me they had. So immediately they placed value on it. I didn't have to sell it because they already valued it. Again, it was natural progress. So once I performed, I gave them a great shampoo with a massage. Don't just earthquake shake them. No. Take the time, commit to a routine, spend the time with them, giving them the head and the neck massage. Oh my God, they would sing, they'd come back just for that most of the time. But then I took them to the chair and I gave them a good haircut. You don't have to be sassy. You don't have to be sassy. You don't have to be Paul Mitchell. You don't have to be Tony and Guy. You don't have to be Wella Sebastian. You just be consistent. Listen and be consistent. Always train to be better. Give a good, consistent haircut. That's all they want. And they want the relationship. The more you ask, the more they think you care. Because you do. You're showing it, not saying, oh, I care so much. You're showing it through your actions. So guess what? Now I take them up to the front desk. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I'm so happy to meet you. Here's 3 of my cards. If you know any other people that might be interested in getting to know me, I'd love to meet them. Also, I am going to get busy. This promotion, I'm let them know. This promotion is working for me. I'm seeing 4 people a day right now. 5 people in 2 months' time. I'm going to start getting booked. How would you like to come back in 6 weeks so I can touch this up for you? I don't say, would you like to come back in 6 or 8 weeks? No. How would you like to come in 6 weeks? Okay, that sounds great. You put them right in the spot. Take them in the computer, rebook them. You're only as good as your next month. I don't care how good you did September. If your October's empty, it means you didn't do right now in September. You weren't doing the right processes to ensure them coming back. And that's the problem with these hairdressers that charge so much money. The $150 hair cutter,
because they're not booked.
they're not booked. They can't afford to come back and see them 4 to 6 weeks later. You get a fair price point with great quality, they can come back every 4 to 6 weeks, and we can get back to having that consistency again. And so those systems have worked for me. Now let's talk a little bit about the haircut, and then I'm going to jump into Yelp, because we got to talk about this. It's been a beast for me. So now we've got our shape put in. I'm going to cross-check by just taking my section up and dusting the top. I'm not going to recut it. I'm just making sure there's a nice flat line across the surface. Right there, I like that. Just dusting it. Bring everything back again. Just dust it. And we're starting to see now, turn your head to the side, we're starting to see a shape take place. Now, we see opportunity here, don't we? We've got these corners that we left through over direction, but now we can shape them in. So I'm going to start by moving from here, diagonally, at the round of the head. Diagonally, because the head's round, so I'm going to work with it rounded as I round these corners off. So it's going to go from here to here to here. And I'm going to start to pull these corners off the round of the head shape. You see that right there? There's my guide.
Computer, 14-letter words. So now I come 16-letter words.
Did you see that there was still a buildup of weight up there at the top? We'll do it again.
You said no.
Bring everything back.
Like, you know, just don't get all into like pull the hair down. Go to now you're checking the floor, which you feel like.
Okay, I'll do one more section, talk through, and then we're going to talk some more about business. Now notice now at the front, I'm over directing it way back. Why? Why am I pulling it back? Right. Keep that idea, right, of that length up in the front, but still address what's happening here. From here to there.
I always say apprenticeship programs.
See how I just leaned that out? So Yelp, how many of us are familiar with the platform Yelp.com? Any of us ever tried using it before? You know, it's interesting. When I moved from Southern California back to Central California, nobody Yelps, I thought, because you don't see a lot of reviews. But what I started to discover was after I set up my profile and I set up my salon business, I set it up as Chad Clark Hair at the address of the salon that I work at. So now the salon's Yelp is my Yelp. So when they look up California looks, they don't find California looks. They find Chad Clark Hair. Ha ha ha, clever, right? California looks didn't have one. That's my opportunity, right? So now that I've done this, I started not asking for reviews, but letting people know when they come in, do you Yelp? Oh, you know what? No, I use it to find stuff, but I don't review. Oh, okay. Well, you know, I just got on there, and I'm really excited. It's been great. I'm happy about the responses I'm getting, just planting the seed. Once I started really getting through there, people started leaving me reviews. Only a few here and there. And I started to discover that Yelp has a system. If you don't encourage your guests that you know are active Yelpers to create a profile, to add 3 friends, and review 3 other places. If say your mom goes on and just reviews you, her review's going to go to filtered and you're not going to see it. Fantastic. And I haven't paid $1. Free advertising. I've got about 9 reviews. It's organic. I don't have 50 because I don't ask people to do it when they leave. You know what I mean? But every person that comes in, I say, how'd you hear about me? Oh, I found you on Yelp. Oh, fantastic. Well, you know, I'm so glad. Do you Yelp? I plant that seed. You know what I mean? And then I don't follow it up with, hey, make sure you leave a review. No, I say, God, I'm so happy that you took the time to find me, and I'm so thankful that people take the time to do that when they're really happy with my service. It means a lot to me. So I'm planting that psychological seed, you see? But I don't ever ask them. And then guess what? If they love me, they'll Yelp. And if not, so what? They'll still rebook. They're still coming back. And the next person that finds me, the next person, it keeps slowly building. And Yelp is a beast. I love my Yelp work. So now we're going to pull this one back in the same manner. Bring that corner in. So we're going to stay in here until the next person comes in and tells us to leave. We usually go over because we like to just do this a lot. But Here's where we're kind of going with this. Now, I like having it longer in the front because we like to keep a little softness on Steven. But before I go, I'm just going to make sure I have a little additional rounding off at the corners of the parietal ridge by just lifting them up and over-directing them back. And I'm trying to leave some of these curls loose intentionally. But as we get into this area right here,
That's a good strategy too if you want.
a little too much curl for me right there.
Like, you know what I mean? So that's just something I've been playing with like, the last year, and I've noticed that I'm trying to pass that knowledge.
Boom. We're going to do the same thing on this side, same exact thing. Now, we left a lot of corner here, which is great because it left some length, but again, it's not really cohesive with the rest of this haircut just quite yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just look at my shape again. I love where this is going on Steven. I want to achieve two things. I want to remove weight and I want to make it lighter. So it's going to go on my fingers and I'm going to lift it a little higher because when we go low, it makes hair heavy. When we lift high, it makes hair light. Simple ideas. We do, what, 4 things with hair? Long, short, right? Heavy, light. That's all we do. That's all we do. Long is kept long and cutting. Short, you decide where and cut. Light, we layer it. We make it lighter, we lift it up. Heavy, we bring it down, we keep it low. And anything else is really just semantics, geometry, if you want to say. Diagonal section, diagonal cutting line, build up of weight, makes things bigger as you get to the top. It's really interesting how we can simplify hair cutting. But let's get this fringe tackled. So I'm going to start right about here. Subtle elevation, tips of my shears, pointing off that first little bit of curl that's happening. Looking at the curl pattern as I cut. If I cut too far below the curl pattern, what's going to happen is the shrinkage. Shrinkage. Not that kind of shrinkage. Steven. Now, I like where we're starting to go, but we're still just a little heavy right here and right here, but I kind of like where that is at. Okay, we want to keep a loose, soft feel. He doesn't like to do a lot with his hair. He's got to curl. It's got to do these things, but we need to also do precision sectioning so it grows out nice. He's had a couple of haircuts from machines, which I love machines. I use them too. But the challenge with a machine is that it grows out like a machine. It's very rigid. Oh God, what are you doing over there?
I'm fine. I'm talking about business too. Still here? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So still, a little much right in here on this curl pattern. Just a little much, so we got to lighten it up a bit. So I'm going to lift it a little higher now. I was here. I love you, Michael. Now I'm here.
Miss Radley's over here. Sit here patiently.
Yeah, and I've got my next one coming up on deck, so don't think we've forgotten.
So everybody's having a fun time with the show and everything?
Lift it a little higher, comb it down.
Or is this like classic?
Take a little bit more off this little corner of this curl here. Very freehand and visual now, but still taking vertical sections and lifting them to help achieve my goal.
I like it, these scissors right here. Small scissors, all day.
Are they better or?
That's just more control. It's nothing about better. It's what you prefer.
Now Steven won't wear it back like that, and I have to keep that in mind. He likes to cover that frontal area just a bit more. So leaving that a little looser and a little softer up there is important for us, which I think he can still really get away with. I still need to kind of address the density of it though, and I can start to do that by dry cutting into the shape.
So it goes away.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Don't lie, Michael.
I wanted to open my own Band-Aid brand when I was in there. I could just not do hair and sell Band-Aids. Scissors on.
Right, so I like where that's going. I like what we're having happen there. I'm preserving some of that curl because that's what it's going to do, and we're leaving it there. But now I can really start to see a bit more Steven in there. As before, there was so much bulk living over the top of the shape, you couldn't really see him too much. He was hiding. He was like, Steven, where are you? Where are you, Steven? And we found him. He's there. Now, as I finish up this look, leaving it just like we are, really, I don't want to go in too strong with my perimeters. So I'm going to break this one up a little bit. I want it to be a bit looser. Cutting right on the skin with the side of my shear. You want to practice this move? This is how you do it. Right on your hand, flat. Little snips, open and close, open and close. This is way better than the aggressive machine, especially when you're working with women. This is a great way to help remove neckline hair. Okay? So learning to use your shears in a different manner, committing to that is going to help you become a bit more versatile in the styles that you offer. I like it loose over the ear like this. It adds to the texture. It's softer. I don't want to see it all hard and rigid. Not today. We're going to do the same thing on this opposite side here. So that part of the ear right there. So I see about how much room I have to play with.
The hair inside. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of that right now.
It's a long day of walking and your feet probably hurt, so if you want to shout out questions from the chair, you can do.
So still trimming it around the ear, but I'm leaving it loose. I'm not going to take it clean. Again, getting right up in here on the side panel.
There it is. Okay, so let's
Make sure it's nice and neat. I want it to be loose, but with purpose. I want it to be perfectly unkempt. Pushing everything down and over. We still need to tidy up this hair so it lasts a bit longer in the grow out. So all I'll really do is just slightly bend it forward. I'm not going to press it really hard. I'm just going to slightly bend it forward. This is going to allow me to get some of those excess lengths around the ears. Anything extra you can freehand away. Now, Stephen, for the last time, I'm going to have you stand up so I can do the back and demonstration, and then we're going to be all set, my man. And I'll have my next model come up. The long hair, believe it or not, is going to be much faster. You'd think it's longer hair, it takes more time. It actually doesn't. His little wings. We don't want Stephen to fly away. So we're going to adjust these up just a bit, starting from behind the ear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you this way. I'm going to start taking these little curl bits here, twisting them, and just slicing them off and letting them fall. Any of us plan on going to ISSE Long Beach, the professional trade show? Anybody plan on going this year? Guess what, you guys? After almost 3 years of submitting proposals to be an educator there without a company, mind you. If you got a company, it's really easy to get up in there. I don't have a company. I submitted a proposal for a classroom and I get to do it this year. I'll have a classroom called Bob to the Third Power, the origin, history, and evolution of the bob haircut. I'm going to be releasing a very exciting documentary film that I've been working on for the industry, featuring some of the legendary icons of the business, talking about the bob, their experiences with the bob, and their thoughts and opinions on the bob, and even sharing some secret insights that they developed at the Sassoon time on Bond Street back in the 1970s that hasn't been released yet, and they're going to talk about it on my film. So it's going to be very exciting.
We should get Bill Murray on it too.
Get some Bill Murray. What about Bob? What about Bob? Baby steps. Baby steps.
Bill Murray.
Baby steps.
What about Bob?
What days are you going to be there?
Both days, Sunday and Monday, performing my classroom 2 days. I'll be doing I'll be previewing my film. Just preview. It's not going to be the actual release date, but I'm going to preview it, the first preview. Then I'm going to do a live demonstration of a classic graduated bob, and then I'm going to be having 3 presentation models of different era pieces of the bob. So a bob from the 80s, a bob from the 90s, 2000s, and a bob from we're going to do, 70s, 80s, 90 now. So 3 different bobs.
I'll try to be there.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys there. It's going to be a great class. Just watch and learn. But the movie is what I'm really excited about. I had this idea. I woke up one night, it was like 3 a.m. and I was just like, I got this idea. I want to make this film, and I want it to be something that'll impact and inspire. And I love the Vidal Sassoon biography movie. That's very inspiring to me, and I wanted to do something like that. So I started putting together this idea, and I got on my Facebook and realized that I was friends with a lot of those people on my Facebook page that were in the movie, like the Michael Gordon and the Stephen Moody and the Tony Beckerman, and just these iconic people that have been there from the beginning, and they're all still alive and well. And I reached out to them, I asked them to do it, and they said sure. One at a time. I got 13 people on this panel that are going to be interviewing and talking, as well as me. I got to get in there a little bit.
What's it going to be called?
Bob to the Third Power. The movie is going to be called Bob.
Or is it a documentary?
It's going to be a documentary, 90 minutes. I'm
On
gonna,
Netflix?
it will be probably either, I'm gonna see about getting it onto Netflix. We're gonna release it for free on YouTube. I do not want to charge anybody to watch this movie. Any funds that are gathered from the production of this film, I'm gonna donate back to the Vidal Sassoon Cancer Research Foundation so that we can all learn and understand who, where, when, and why this movement of haircutting has happened. So it's kind of like my gift for everybody, because I love y'all.
Oh, you're so nice.
Yeah. Gotta do it for the right reasons. It's when magic happens. So I'm just gonna clean up the last little bit. Just the last little bit on the neckline here. Excalibur. So I'm gonna come out here real fast. Just gonna get in there real fast and just dial this right back in. Now you're in Cosmo school. Am I supposed to do this?
Straight razor?
Mm-hmm.
No,
No, I'm not. Why?
unless you're a barber.
That's right. How many more hours do we need after Cosmo School to get our barbering license?
Was it like 400?
400 more. So that's another 4 months if you go full time. I don't have the time, and the real kick of it is, you guys realize the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology was not always, the Board of Barbering and the Board of Cosmetology were not always separate entities. They used to be one. I learned to do this in beauty school, as a matter of fact. We shaved balloons at the academy when we were learning to do this stuff. And then 6 years into my career, they switched it and said I couldn't anymore. Cool. But I do recommend it if you have the opportunity. A few of my team members are double threats in that they work in barbering. They've gotten their barbering licenses and their Cosmo licenses. Amazing. I just don't have the time to do it myself. This just kind of helps me absorb some of the natural oils, but still leave me with like a nice rough, loose texture in the hair. And Stephen Van Halen. Give him a round of applause. It's soft, it's loose, it has purpose. Left the neckline loose, left it loose over the ears. Definitely feel. See, that's one tricky thing about not working with a mirror. When we're at the salon, that's what I use it for, is symmetry and balance. But hey, there we go. Very good. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.
Looking sharp, my man.